Hey YouTube! Yes, so yes, I'm wearing my skirt again. So I'm just going to stand with my legs further apart, so it's obviously I'm wearing shorts, not a skirt or a kilt. Yeah, so here is the RBX 470 bass, Yamaha, which I've just managed to put back together again. Actually, that's part one video sitting on in the background there, but it's currently uploading. Yeah, so this one had issues. I ended up getting it free of a guy I bought a bass off. It was all smashed up, so I don't know. I worked out doing that video. I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago I got this, and the neck, the body was kind of split, so I glued it and screwed it. You know, it's got deck screws in it holding it kind of split kind of down here and down here, and I glued it and screwed it and then kept trying to use filler, and the filler kept cracking. I eventually got really annoyed with it. I had a few paint jobs and it sat in the guys for 3 years, and then I took it round and got Jane to paint it just because I thought she wanted practice painting guitars. So this is actually, I think, the first one that kind of looked anything like this. It doesn't look anything like the first one or the red bass at all. It's another thing. It's just there isn't really a sequence. It depends what sort of mood Jen's in. I think, because this one was all cracked. Well, it was the wood was all cracked on the surface, but it was like deck screws going through it. You know, recessed screws holding the thing together, so it is rock solid. It did turn out that the neck was knackered though. The truss rods appeared to work, but it didn't bring it back to anything. So it still had 5mm of relief in it with the truss rod on full. I talked about this in another video, forget it. So this neck is off a Stag bass, not the one I had the other night. I don't know when I got this. This has been in the guys for 20 years as well, or not 20, 5 years as well. The only issue with this neck fitting, it was exactly the right length, was the neck on the Yamaha was a couple of millimeters wider on either side. So what I did was, I don't know if you could be able to see this. See that silver line there, and there. You can't really see, but I got aluminium tread plate. You know, the stuff that's I can't believe there's no guitars that have got it on it here just now. Stuff you get on the top of the bonnets of Land Rover. My pal Buster turned up one day. He did this intentionally. I was sitting in here and I heard this noise, and it was like, if you imagine a satanic Rolf Harris wobble board, and I'm sitting here like, what the hell is that noise? And I went out, there's Buster sitting there like that, going with a fucking full 2.4 metre, size of sheet of plasterboard with a wee notch cut out it, bit of dirt bar, checker plate. And he was doing what he was working as at the time, some refrigerator engineer or something like that, and he was working in Kilsyth and he was driving past us like, this stuff goes in the tip, do you want it? I was like, yes! So I've made so much stuff out of that. I've still got quite a lot left, it's great. That'll be getting, assuming I can't find the, what's a hair? I can't find the back plate. I haven't really looked that hard, but I might, if I find that, it'll be made out of that, and so will the battery cover as well be made out of that, painted black, and it'll look cool. It's handy stuff. But what I did was I angle ground that down and made it and cut it in, so it's basically got bits of metal stuck in, so it's a pure rock solid neck socket. There's no shim in it either. It seems to work quite well. This bass isn't by any means finished, but it's the truss rods, just, there's something there. So I mean, it's not backbowed, it's not straight, it's got 2mm of relief. I'm going to undo it a wee bit, not got that far yet. So we've got the original Yamaha tune, in fact basically all original apart from the bridge, which had a saddle missing. So I've just put on it's actually a Dean bridge, but it's black. It's got the original big Yamaha humbuckers active circuit. This is a blend pot which mixes between the two pickups. These two are active things, which I'll go into. I've not actually, I plugged it in to make sure it worked, but I've not really worked out what they're doing. This is a volume. I do need to, because I'd had this assembled just to put it back together again, I need to take these pickups out and put springs behind them to bring them up a bit. They're far too far. You can get your finger between the strings and the pickup, so it should be much, much louder than it is. But it's working. Well, if I turn the volume up. I mean, even the intonation isn't far off. It's definitely within the scope of the saddles. So that's both pickups. So neck pickup. both of them. A wee bit towards the neck now. As I said, I do need to raise these pickups up, which is they're just, you know, they're screwed in, and I just put them into. I wanted to make sure it actually worked before I went any further, so it still needs the frets, still need polish, the fingerboard's dry as a biscuit, as Mr. Foxy's guitar channel. By God, does he do an awful lot of videos on Les Pauls? I'm not a Les Paul fan, but I don't know if he's. I assume he must know somebody who's a mad Gibson head and keeps lending him things to do videos every week. It's like up here. Oh, yeah, no, I've seen this video before, an hour and a half ago. No, I haven't. It's another Gibson Les Paul, another one. I mean, I should look it up. I wonder if he's got a playlist. I need to ask him if he should put a playlist. I bet he's got like 30 Les Pauls, something like that. But this is obviously. It was kind of disappointing actually when Jen painted these guitars, because I didn't expect it to look as good as it did, because I don't like this shape of guitar. Now that it looks like this, I do quite like it. And I don't actually have an active bass, so I might be getting kept. But it just looks fantastic with the proper paint on it. And obviously it's not, I don't know what to do with the headstock. Why hide the fact that it's a Stag? It's like not that much of a snob. It is a Yamaha. And you start thinking, oh, it's the build quality and stuff. But I mean, yeah. So it's got the Yamaha electrics. It's obviously solid, proper wood. It's got plenty of. It's vibrating plenty enough, and I've got cut pieces of metal. I even thicknessed them using the angle grinder. I love using the angle grinder. It's great when you can. Normally, when there's a problem, you sit there and I think about it. I'll have a. This was quite before it got to the actually when I snapped the truss rod the other night. I was up here, right? I was up here sitting there. I've got a problem there. What other necks have I got? It's like, none of them fit. You know, there's a couple of mil on either side of the neck pocket. It's sitting there going, how do I solve problems? I use the angle grinder, and it's like then you start going, how is this problem solved with the angle grinder? And then it became, and aluminium checker plate. So basically, all problems can be solved with an angle grinder. It's just a case of utilising it properly, whatever your problems are. Because I get quite arty with the angle grinder at one point when I was working. My dad, it was like, here, I could build anything with an angle grinder. You're sitting there like, you're making components. It's like sheet metal. Great fun. So if I just stick in the middle, so both pickups on. This pot here, it's at their centre indent. So this is at nothing in the middle. You turn it down. Don't know why you want to turn it down. That's it back at the centre. That's it forwards. Boomy boomy. That's a handy thing to have. I like that. So that's obviously some sort of active bass boost. Or probably just bass, actually. And the other one, which actually the pot, this will be getting fixed. Depends whether I'm selling it or not. If it's getting fixed, it'll be the pot will be getting replaced. But again, these are funny pots. You know, they're like they're not a normal. They're not like 250s or 500s or something else. And they're also dual layer. So I'd have to buy a proper one, like a B20 or whatever it was. So what I did was the knob was snapped off. I don't know if you can see that there. What I did was I drilled a hole down the centre of the, like, you know, the two spline bits that they'd both snapped off. So I drilled a hole down the centre and then put a slightly too big screw in it, set with super glue. So now I can actually turn it. Not a permanent solution, and these aren't the right knobs. Obviously, these are just off an old mixing desk I had, but I kind of like that idea. So it's possible that I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try anyway. It might fail if it fails. I'm just going to fill it with some sort of glue, like another one of these knobs, and then have it on it, and then hopefully that'll maybe epoxy, something like that. I'll just need to make sure that I'll let it dry sitting like that, so any epoxy doesn't run down into the pot and then make it solid. So whatever that does. So this pot is it's currently centre indented in the middle. As we turn it down. But back to the middle. I think it's just treble in it. That's it. That's up the full. That's actually quite good. It's quite a punchy. I think that's the thing about using the active electronics, which you don't tend to get with like something like a tone control, like passive electronics, where if you turn, I thought I could feel a dent in that. It's not. If you turn like the treble down with passive electronics, all you're doing with passive stuff is taking stuff away. So if you get your standard signal at this height and you take away the bass, the volume comes down. Or you take away the treble, the volume goes down because you're taking away. Whereas with the active circuit, you can add it in. So it's like, instead of, I'll turn the bass up, you're not turning everything else. You're not turning the overall volume down. You're turning the overall volume up. Hence active. So I've got to turn that and the bass up full bang. And neck pickup, the best one. That might be just making the mic distort. Mic's pissing me off. Sometimes when I turn it on, I have to check every time. It's sitting at 95% just now. But sometimes the bass just makes it distort. So if the bass is distorting, it's because the mic can't handle it. It's a payoff, and it's all very different. I'll not bother you with housekeeping. I should be a bit lower down now. So this was really just more of a test to make sure it was working before I finished setting it up. But all the signs are good. It actually plays pretty good. If we were, I always say this, if we're having a jam round at your house or something like that, and there's up here, do you want to play the bass? Aye, and I get handed this. It would almost be, that's the most amazing paint job I've ever seen. Right, if it was just this but not painted, just not looking cool, it's like pure, fine, I can use that, or a jam in a pub or something like that, a blues jam or something, yeah. It's fine. Even I can't believe how I didn't touch the intonation. This bridge, which is off a Dean ML bass, I've not touched the intonation on it, right? So it came straight off that, and it went on a completely different type of bass. And the neck isn't off this guitar, and I put it on, and I haven't adjusted it. I adjusted the height. I'll give it that. But I mean, it's intoned, so it's obviously a sign. Suffering a wee bit from volume because the pickups are so far away from the strings, but take the best bass with the best pickups ever, and put the pickups in and have them half an inch away from the strings. They're not going to be as loud as normal pickups. So I need to take this to bits and raise them up. Just stick some rubber behind them or springs or something. Actually got the action set slightly too low and the neck slightly too straight, so it's a little bit quieter on the high strings. This is the other thing about when you're setting the truss rods on a bass or a guitar. On a guitar, there's a certain level of preference to it depending on what you like better. If you have it straight, you can't have it straight. You can if you've got really high action. But if you've got the action relatively low, you can't have it straight. There has to be something in it, and you would test that by putting your finger on the first and last fret in the middle. So you can actually hear there's a gap there. It's a midge's bow here, but there's something. You need more than that for a bass, because if you think about a string, if you pin a string there and there, when it vibrates in the middle, it oscillates up and down. You know, it's kind of why am I doing this? Kind of like, you know, that kind of shape, like a sort of there, like that. That's the shape of a vibrating string. So in the middle, you want the neck to be that shape. So you want it to be, well, convex, concave. You want it to be concave. You want it to be basically going that way. Not a huge amount, not the way it was with the other neck, which was burst, which was like, you know, you're sitting there and you can get your fingers behind the strings. I did actually get it much better than that, but I actually got it to the sort of level that I have certainly had a shot of other folks' basses and people who are quite happy with their bass at that level. I'm not happy with that. I mean, if you were like, this sort of thing, if you had it as your first bass, you could still play it and you just wouldn't know that it was wrong. You would just struggle a bit, and it doesn't. When the problem is when you start doing that and you get really high action, you're not in tune up here anymore, because you're having to push the string in. You're actually bending the equivalent of bending the string, but you're bending it in the way. So, yeah. But I'm glad I didn't just bin this. I was going to nab the pickups and put them in something else. The pickups do look cool. They're big humbuckers and say Yamaha on them. Excellent. Yeah, so there you go. Just a quick first off demo. I don't think I'll bother. I don't want to hide the fact that it's a stag neck. What's the point? But the thing about the initial idea with these art guitars is this is really for hanging on the wall like a painting. Look at it. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Obviously, the art goes around the outsides. So the fact that they play is sort of a bonus, although I've been pushing that a little bit by coercing, chatting up Jen to get her to paint good guitars. It's like, yeah, a Japanese RG, yeah. And the Washburn Raven, but Washburn Raven needed painted anyway, so that doesn't really count. The wee red bass was only a tenner, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with it, but I just loved the bass so much I thought, oh, paint that one. That one was the first one she ever did, that's just a car boot sale Strat. I don't even know what make it was, but as soon as I saw it, once it had been painted and stuff, I was looking at it going, whoa, that just looks amazing. So I never actually used any of the original parts. It's a solid wood body of some description, and then it's all Japanese Fender stuff on it, because I happened to have an entire Japanese Fender Strat minus the body, and it's like, well, there we go. But I mean, this actually plays quite nice, and you've heard me say this in the last 10 years in videos. I don't like basses, like the shape of them, generally, because they're kind of this shape. There's a very good reason for this, with the big massive horn. It balances absolutely perfectly. You can get up to the 24th fret. Technically, it's amazing, but the actual shape is ugly as. And there's lots of other ones that are this kind of thing. Obviously an Ibanez, what they call it, an Ibanez ERG, Ibanez have a modern bass. I mean, they didn't even invent it till the 90s, which is, they're fantastic, and they're technically amazing things, but the shape is kind of like this, and you're just like, I mean, there is something about basses. When I first started looking at basses, when I bought that Aria Pro I was talking about, I like the look of that. I like the look of the SG. I like the look of the P bass, sort of. It's kind of acceptable. The jazz bass I always thought looked a bit melted, and then all the other types of bass, all the other modern shapes, I thought, ugh. It doesn't need to be a specific. I'm not one of those folks that it's got to be a Strat or it's got to be a Telly or something like that. I'm happy with other shapes. That's not these. Some of these aren't Strats or Tellys. Some of them are Strats. You know, I think that's an amazing shaped guitar, even though it's not like modelled after one of the 50s ones. It's, you could argue it's a sort of double cut Les Paul kind of thing, but it's amazing how just putting a paint job like this on it can turn a bass, which I would just go, nah, yeah, okay. I would still play it, you know, if you're, again, at this fictional open jam night, do you want to play the bass? So I would still play it, yeah, that's fine, I still really quite like it, but it's one I can never see myself buying because I think it looks hack it. Doesn't apply to this paint job. I don't think. It's always good to try these things. There. Hear it? That's why that string's quieter. I bet you it's probably not quieter up here, but it is here because it's got a slightly high fret. But these are things that no companies puts frets in a guitar. Well, it's possible that when you've got your piece of wood, which is a variable thing, and you put frets in it, that they all just go in completely straight and they're all level. They all go into the wood exactly the same amount because wood's a random thing. It's even if you've got the best wood in the world, no two bits are exactly the same. So there's an argument for no two guitars ever been exactly the same. That doesn't really wash so much when you get to a Westone Thunder where they're all the same, because that's just because they weren't all the same when they were assembled, but by the time they were finished they were, because anything that was different was adjusted, planed and cut and hammered and shouted at out of it so that they're all the same. You know, the quality control thing. I'm really liking that. See that wee turquoise bit there? It seems to be shining up in this. Again, this will change colour. It's quite nice having a new one to look at. Not that I'm in no way bored of looking at the bug or the whatever it's called. I'm in no way bored of looking at that. I'm in no way bored of looking at that because they change colour. The more you look at them, the more you see. And I've had some of these for a few weeks now, and it's like that. I suppose that's the point in art, isn't it? It's like it's not. You know, it's like, okay, fair enough. It took me maybe something like the red. It's just red, right? So, but even then, you know, the more you look at it, the more you get used to it, and you start going, yeah, no, maybe it is quite a nice shape. First time I saw it, I was happy with it. It's kind of nondescript, but now I've warmed to it. It happens with a lot of guitars. If you get one that looks kind of really weird and sort of slightly odd, it's very different. So part of that's just that's not normal. I'm not used to looking at it, and then you get used to it. But the same kind of things happens with these paint jobs. Some of them I love immediately. Some of them I'm like pure, yeah, it looks cool. Just my initial reaction after a couple of minutes, it's like pure. Now once you be looking at it, you go, right now I get it. Kind of happened a wee bit with that, to be honest. Don't tell Jen. I thought it looked amazing, and then it was like pure, yeah, it looks amazing. It didn't look as good. But in fact, the same thing happened with that one. That one was different. That one, as soon as she started painting, I was like, that looked fucking brilliant. But some of the other ones, it's maybe not an instantaneous thing, but you know, I'm talking like within 30 seconds, you get your initial reaction, and then after 30 seconds, it's like, no, okay, I get it, yeah. And a lot of these times, it's like, it's probably different from all you lot, because you don't get to see these things in the process of being built. No, you do actually if you look on Jen's website. I understand why she does it, but no, it's like a wee preview. You don't look at it. There should be a separate site that just shows you the completed guitars, because they look very different when there's no neck and no pickups and stuff in them. You look at it, and because I'm so used to seeing guitars in bits, I know what it's going to look like when it's finished. It's a wee bit the same with something like this. This hasn't been set up and finished, but I know by playing it, it's going to be really good, because just through experience of it. You know, I know this isn't as good as it gets. This is basically fling the bits together. Oh, it works, and it's actually all right. I've not tweaked anything, you know, things like raising the pickups, to getting a little bit out of that neck, just give it some relief, sorting out that high fret, cleaning the fretboard, cleaning the frets, all that stuff. It'll end up being, let's be honest, better playing and sounding and looking than probably 50% of the bands you see who've got a bass player. It's like, Bass players are especially bad at it, because the thing is, you can sort of get away with a really badly set up and badly playing bass more than you can with a guitar, because on a guitar you have to play lots of strings together, play chords, and there's not very much. The bass is longer, so you get more chance of accepting any errors in it. Does that make sense? No, I mean, if I keep thinking about this, when you're looking at the wee tiny guitars, like the 20-inch scale ones, you can set them up to play, but it's an absolute pig because everything's so small. You've got to be so accurate and getting that action, getting the nut cut perfectly. Whereas on a bass, if the nut is 2 or 3 millimeters out, it still plays. You can still play it. Whereas if it's 2 or 3 millimeters out in a guitar, you can't play any chords. Or if it's 2 or 3 millimeters out in one of those wee short guitars, it doesn't. It's just like it's not a guitar. It's a piece of wood with strings on it. So I'm going to play this a wee bit more this afternoon. This might be even in. We'll have to take it. I'll take it over and show Jen and Scott tomorrow. But I mean, it's a very pretty thing, I think, now. And with this paint job on it, and not just having been painted about 5 times by me with the cracks showing up from where it was cracked, and I bolted it together and all that crap, makes a big difference. Rock on!